To challenge horror conventions regarding mise-en-scène, cinematography, editing, sound, and titles, my partner and I had a mindset on creating a sense of curiosity, mystery, and suspense for our film opening. For mise-en-scène, we wanted to keep things rather simplistic regarding hair, makeup, props, and costuming. For our first outfit, it was an all-white tank top and shorts to represent purity, but after the day we filmed, we realized it was not suitable fit for our character because it did not suit me as the actor. It made me look pretty big, nor did it match our vision, so we changed the white shorts to black cargo pants because we thought it fitted right into the environment, but after a few shots, we quickly realized it was not the one. It made me look slow and weird while running. So for our last outfit, it was an all-black flowy dress, and we loved how I was able to freely move, and it also enhanced the sense of mystery and curiosity, so the viewers can have the mindset of why in the world is she running through the woods in a dress and barefoot. Regarding makeup, we kept things pretty natural, hence the messy hair and face free of cosmetics, but we did use red acrylic paint to show blood splatters, which can also fall into the props category. For cinematography, we heavily relied on using tracking shots and a single point of view shot to capture an out-of-this-world experience for our viewers, so they will be able to be in the intense moment with our character. Close-up shots and eye-level shots were used to enhance a certain image or convey the emotion coming from the character. The establishing shots were used to show our location and what our actor would be running through trying to escape her attackers and show how eerie the woods just are. For editing, we inserted transitions such as dissolve and fade outs because they either showed a passage of time or were used to establish a coherent meaning and make the footage look clean. Sounds that were included were ambient nature sounds, footsteps, screaming, and music for the sole purpose of establishing the intense feeling of suspense. Social groups usually represented in the horror genre are focused on the sexualization of both men and women. Men in horror movies can either ooze sex appeal with their big buff body, build their physique, or provide comedic relief, or even both. They are the heavy lifters in the film and at times save the women who are in a crisis against the antagonist. For example, you can have the jock, a dominant male, hero, a friend, or antagonist. Women are also sexualized as they have fitted or minimal clothing that show off their assets. Typically, the female who runs off with her boyfriend tends to die first in a horror movie, and then there is the final girl, who is categorized as the virgin or skeptic, and she tends to make it to the end. Women can also play the dense blonde, defenseless victim, or even the surprise killer. While men and women are represented in stigmas, there are also horror movies based on health/mental health issues such as The Bada Book, where the mother is battling with her grief and depression, and It Follows can be mistakenly interpreted as an STD movie. Our film, Driving Insanity, touches base with suicide in the film opening, but it does not heavily rely on the touchy subject because it is more about not being able to deal with the encounter she witnessed during the ritual, hence why she is going insane. Production companies we had in mind were A24 and Blumhouse Productions. Blumhouse Productions had a huge range of quality horror movies such as Insidious, Paranormal Activity, and Sinister. They are a huge platform spending millions on movies and distributing it, but ultimately we decided to choose A24 because it was the best production company for our type of horror genre. A24 is also a huge platform that spends millions on production, and they are familiar with creating a masterful piece such as Hereditary, The Witch, and Midsommar. Hereditary was coming in with 44 wins and 104 nominations for Best Horror Film, Best Actress, Best Motion Picture, and so on. They have more experience on dealing with psychological horror films, as our own film is also based on that type of horror. We plan to exhibit our film through film festivals to gather recognition and attraction that will gain money for showcasing our film everywhere. And we also want to create a hashtag or challenge, such as the Bird Box Challenge, so that the viewers can do it while the film releases worldwide to all theaters. Our targeted audience will be those who love horror movies, especially psychological horror films, because not everyone knows about them or they're not suited for those type of pieces. In our film, it is not some cheesy jump scares that will pop out once in a while, but rather leaving a mental scar of how grotesque and disturbing the film actually was. We want the viewers to not know what they are in for, and after the film, they can explain their theories of what the film is about or what are some symbolisms that struck out. We want to be able to have an audience that appreciates how intense the film can be by leaving you on edge or feel the overwhelming feeling of anxiety and suspense. Those people will be able to take the heat, hence why they are perfect for our film audience. During pre-production, Tzitlalith and I had no clue what our film should be. We knew we wanted a psychological horror film, and I was really set on creating this grotesque film opening, but our minds were absolutely blank. Then I came up with the idea of having a ritual gone wrong to open up our film, and we went with the idea. The synopsis of our film, Driving Insanity, is about a family terrorized by a cult and supernatural occurrences due to their failed attempt of a ritual portrayed in the opening scene. A follower of the cult decides to offer her family as sacrifice, and one member of the family would have to be a vessel to hold their god, so he would be able to rule them, spreading evil all throughout. The opening scene will portray the failed practice by having a female who was captured to be a vessel running through the woods trying to escape her attackers, but she is driven mad from what she encountered during the sacrifice ritual and chooses to end her life. The audience will not be able to comprehend the plot and be led into curiosity and solely focus on the female before them being terrorized. To plan our visual for the film opening, we decided to create a storyboard. The first scene opens up to a darkened sky disrupted by the sound of shrieking and included crows as they symbolize death. The next few scenes are to show our character running around throughout the woods trying to escape a horrid scene, aka the ritual. She is dressed in white to portray the usage of innocence and purity. Our character eventually breaks down to absolute madness and realizes she cannot escape, so she heads to the tower and decides to end her misery. Then the last scene is the brutal death of our character. During production, we had a tough time visualizing what kind of shots were going to create our vision. We ended up not finding any birds in our location besides one bird that was an owl, but we threw the footage out because you could barely see the animal. Then we struggled to find the perfect costume for our character, changing it from an all-white tank top and shorts to a white tank top and black cargo pants to finally choosing an all-black dress. Our cinematography held multiple tracking shots and point-of-view shots to give the viewers a feel to what our character is going through in that situation. The close-up shots and single eye level shot were to show the actor's emotions while also showing madness. The 360 shots were to show the world spinning on its axis and going into chaos for our character as she goes through this intense struggle. For the establishing shots, they were to show the location of what our character would be running through and settle in an eerie feeling because woods do not portray happiness. They rather represent these mysterious and dark brooding trees and massive land. Our location was set in Withlacoochee River Park as it provided the ideal location of what we envisioned for our opening film. One issue we encountered was dealing with the weather because one day held intense winds, and when we planned to refilm the next day, there was absolutely no wind. Then the next few days, it was pouring rain, so we could not film. Then the next day, it was a bright sunny day. That's Florida weather for you. But luckily, we only needed a few seconds of filler shots that did not disrupt our continuity to a high extent. Another issue was during post-production, I recently cut my hair shorter and this disrupted our continuity, but we came up with a quick solution of keeping my head lowered or my hands tangled in my hair so the length would be hidden in the shots. For editing, we added transitions such as dissolve and fades to create clean footage. The dissolves were used to show a transition of time or a different scene. The fade out transition was to show mystery and insanity. We also took inspiration from The Witch to alter our color correction to blue-grayish tones, and this was to block out all the sunlight we captured in our footage. Sounds were kept to a minimum except for music, background nature noises, and footsteps. We were inspired by this opening scene of It Follows, where dialogue was kept to a minimum and ambient sounds were more apparent. Music also played a key role to add the feelings of suspense by the intensity of the notes, whether it went from low to high pitches. Our technology was kept pretty simplistic because we captured our entire film opening using an iPhone XR, voice memos, and iMovie. To record audio clips, we would use the Apple app Voice Memos, and it was an easy application while also producing quality of sound. Tzitlalith was the film editor, and she used iMovie, which was easy to navigate through, but provided a few issues. When we exported footage, the video clips would glitch out, so Tzitlalith had to go back and replace the clips, and transitions along with fonts were limited, but we used what we had to create our film opening.